The sun was setting over the small village of Greendale. The sky turned orange and pink as day became night. In this quiet corner of Earth, life was simple and peaceful. People didn't know about the big changes coming soon. Little Tommy, a 7-year-old boy with messy brown hair and bright blue eyes, was playing in his backyard. He was throwing a ball for his dog, Max. Tommy laughed as Max ran after the ball and brought it back. "Good boy, Max," Tommy said, patting the dog's head. He didn't know that high above him, something strange was happening. In Earth's orbit, a huge ship appeared out of nowhere. It was gray and shaped like an arrow. This was a scout ship from the Galactic Empire. The Empire ruled most of the galaxy, but they had never been to Earth before. Inside the ship, alien creatures with green skin and 4 eyes looked at screens showing Earth. They were confused. Their leader, Captain Zork, spoke in a deep voice. "This planet is not in our records," he said. "We must study it." The scout ship moved closer to Earth. Its engines were very quiet. People on Earth couldn't hear or see it. The aliens didn't want to scare anyone. They just wanted to learn about this new world. Back in Greendale, Tommy's mom called from the house. "Tommy, time for dinner." "Coming, Mom," Tommy shouted. He threw the ball one last time for Max. The ball went high in the air. At that moment, something went wrong on the scout ship. A young alien pressed the wrong button. A bright beam of energy shot out from the ship. It was heading straight for Tommy's village. Captain Zork shouted, "No, stop it." But it was too late. The energy beam hit Tommy's backyard just as he was reaching for the ball. There was a bright flash and a loud boom. The ground shook. Trees fell down. Windows in houses broke. When the dust cleared, there was a big hole in the ground where Tommy had been standing. Tommy, Max, and part of the house were gone. Tommy's mom ran outside, screaming. News of the attack spread fast. In minutes, people all over the world knew what had happened. TVs showed pictures of the destroyed village. Radios talked about the alien ship that people could now see in the sky. World leaders met in an emergency meeting. They were angry and scared. How could this happen? What should they do? In Washington, D.C., the President of the United States stood in front of many cameras. Her face was serious. "My fellow Americans and citizens of the world," she said, "today we have been attacked. An innocent child has been taken from us. This will not stand." As she spoke, something amazing was happening. Deep underground, in secret bases all over the world, lights were turning on. Huge machines were waking up. These were Earth's secret weapons, 700,000 powerful spaceships called Dreadnoughts. For years, Earth had been building these ships in secret. They were more advanced than anything the Galactic Empire had. Now, it was time to use them. The President's voice became stronger. "To the Galactic Empire, we say this: you have awakened a sleeping giant. You will pay for what you have done." As night fell over Greendale and the rest of the world, people looked up at the sky with fear and anger. The alien ship was still there, a dark shape against the stars. But soon, very soon, Earth would show the galaxy its true power. The story of Tommy, the innocent victim, would be the spark that started a war across the stars. The world was in chaos. It had been 24 hours since the alien attack on Greendale. People were scared and angry. They wanted answers. In a secret underground base deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Sarah Chen walked quickly down a long hallway. Her boots made loud sounds on the metal floor. She had a serious look on her face. General Chen entered a big room filled with screens and computers. People in uniforms were working fast, talking in low voices. In the middle of the room was a round table. Around it sat the leaders of Earth's biggest countries. "General, what's our status?" asked the U.S. President. General Chen took a deep breath. "Madam President, world leaders, it's time you knew the truth. Earth is not defenseless." She pressed a button on the table. A big screen lit up, showing a 3D map of Earth. Hundreds of red dots appeared all over the map. For the past 50 years, we've been building something in secret, General Chen said. We call it Project Dreadnought. The room was quiet. Everyone was surprised. Each red dot is a hidden base, she continued. In each base, we have thousands of advanced spaceships. We call them Dreadnoughts. In total, we have 700,000 of these ships. The president stood up, looking shocked. How is this possible? How did we build all this without anyone knowing? General Chen smiled a little. It wasn't easy, Madam President. We used secret funds, hidden factories, and the best scientists from around the world. We knew someday Earth might face a threat from space. We wanted to be ready. On the screen, the map changed. It now showed one of the Dreadnoughts. It was huge, shaped like an arrow, with powerful engines and many weapons. Our ships are more advanced than anything the Galactic Empire has, General Chen explained. They can travel faster than light. They have shields that can stop any known weapon. And they have guns that can destroy entire planets. The room was silent again. Then the leader of China spoke up. Why did you wait until now to tell us? General Chen looked serious. We needed to keep it secret. If the wrong people found out, it could have been dangerous. But now, with the Empire attacking us, it's time to use our secret weapon. The president nodded slowly. I see. So, what's our plan? General Chen touched the screen again. It showed a map of the galaxy. We've been studying the Empire for years. We know where their planets are, where their ships are. We can attack them before they know what's happening. The room filled with excited talking. Some leaders wanted to attack right away. Others were worried about starting a big war. The president raised her hand for quiet. This is a big decision. We need to think carefully. If we use these ships, we'll be starting the biggest war in human history. General Chen nodded. Yes, Madam President. But remember, they attacked us first. They killed an innocent child. If we don't do something, they might come back with more ships. The president looked at the other world leaders. We need to vote. Do we use the Dreadnoughts and fight back? Or do we try to talk to the Empire first? For the next hour, the leaders talked and argued. They thought about the risks and benefits of war. They wondered if the Empire would listen to peace talks. Finally, they were ready to decide. The president stood up. Her face was serious but determined. We have made our choice. We will not let the death of Tommy and the attack on Earth go unpunished. It's time to show the galaxy that humans are not weak. She turned to General Chen. General, prepare the Dreadnoughts. We're going to war. General Chen saluted. Yes, Madam President. As the leaders left the room, General Chen stayed behind. She looked at the big screen showing Earth's secret fleet. Soon, these ships would leave their hiding places. They would fly into space to fight for Earth. The galaxy was about to learn a big lesson. Never underestimate humans. The sun was rising over New York City, but today was not a normal day. The streets were empty. Everyone was inside, watching their TVs or phones. On every screen, the face of the United Nations Secretary General appeared. She was an older woman with gray hair and kind eyes. But today, her eyes were serious. People of Earth, she began, today, we face the greatest challenge in human history. All around the world, people listened closely. In small villages and big cities, in homes and offices, everyone was quiet. The Secretary General continued, yesterday, we were attacked by an alien force called the Galactic Empire. They killed an innocent child named Tommy, but they didn't know one important thing. Earth is ready to fight back. She paused, then said, for years we have been building a secret fleet of spaceships. Now we need brave men and women to fly these ships and defend our planet. In a small apartment in Tokyo, a young woman named Yuki sat up straight. She had always dreamed of flying in space. In a coffee shop in Rio de Janeiro, Carlos, an experienced pilot, nodded. He was ready for this challenge. The Secretary General's voice became stronger. "We are calling for volunteers. If you are a pilot, an engineer, or have any skills that can help, we need you. This is Earth's call to arms." As soon as she finished speaking, phones started ringing all over the world. Websites crashed as millions of people tried to sign up at once. In secret bases around the planet, huge doors began to open. The ground shook as massive ships rose from hidden underground hangars. People in nearby towns and cities looked up in amazement. The sky was filled with ships they had never seen before. The Dreadnoughts were finally revealed to the world. At a military base in Australia, General Chen was giving orders. "We need to train these volunteers fast," she said to her team. The Empire could attack again any day. Thousands of new recruits arrived at training centers. They came from every country, every background. They were young and old, men and women. All of them were ready to fight for Earth. Yuki found herself in a simulator, learning how to fly a dreadnought. It was hard, but she was determined. For Tommy, she whispered as she practiced. Carlos was teaching other pilots what he knew. "These ships are amazing," he told his students. "They can do things I never thought possible." In factories around the world, workers rushed to make more weapons and supplies. Scientists worked day and night to improve the Dreadnought's technology. Meanwhile, in space, the alien scout ship was still watching Earth. They saw the Dreadnoughts appear and were confused. How could this small planet have such advanced ships? The alien captain sent an urgent message to the Empire. "Warning, Earth is not what we thought. They have powerful weapons. We need reinforcements." Back on Earth, the President of the United States stood on the deck of a dreadnought. Cameras broadcasted her image to the world. "To the Galactic Empire," she said, her voice strong and clear, "we give you one chance. Leave our solar system now, or face the consequences. You have 24 hours to respond." As she spoke, more and more dreadnoughts rose into the sky. They formed a giant circle around the Earth, their weapons ready. In homes around the world, families hugged each other. They were scared, but also proud. Humans were united like never before. Yuki looked out the window of her training center. She saw a dreadnought flying overhead. Soon, she thought, I'll be up there, defending Earth. Carlos watched the president's speech with his students. Remember, he told them, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for Tommy and for the future of all humanity. As night fell, the dreadnought's lights filled the sky. It was a beautiful but terrifying sight. The next 24 hours would decide the fate of Earth. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were a force to be reckoned with. The 24-hour ultimatum was over. The Galactic Empire had not responded. Now, it was time for Earth to act. In the command center of the largest dreadnought, named Avenger, General Chen stood before a huge screen. The room was filled with tension. Officers sat at their stations, ready for orders. "All ships report ready, General," said a young lieutenant. General Chen nodded. "Then it's time. Send the signal." Across the Earth, 700,000 dreadnoughts fired up their engines. The noise was incredible. The ground shook. Clouds parted as the massive ships rose into the sky. Yuki, now a trained pilot, sat in her cockpit. Her hands shook a little as she gripped the controls. This is it, she thought. We're really going to space. Carlos, leading a squadron of fighters, spoke to his team. Remember your training. Stay focused. We're making history today. As one, the Earth fleet jumped to light speed. In a flash of bright light, they'd vanished from Earth's sky. Deep in space, near the edge of the solar system, the fleet reappeared. Ahead of them was a Galactic Empire outpost. It was a large space station, surrounded by hundreds of alien ships. On the Avengers Bridge, General Chen gave the order. All ships, engage the enemy. Show them what Earth can do. The space around the outpost lit up with laser fire. Earth's dreadnoughts unleashed their weapons. The Empire ships, caught by surprise, scrambled to respond. Yuki piloted her ship through the chaos. She dodged enemy fire and returned shots. Her training paid off as she destroyed 2 enemy fighters. Earth ships, watch out. Carlos's voice came over the radio. They have some kind of energy weapon. A large beam of green energy shot out from the space station. It hit one of the Earth dreadnoughts, but to everyone's surprise, the ship's shields held. In the Empire's command center, the alien general was shocked. "Impossible," he shouted. "How can their shields be so strong?" Back on the Avenger, General Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Target their main weapon," she ordered. "Show them what real power looks like." The Avenger's main cannon charged up. A blinding beam of blue energy shot out, cutting through space. It hit the Empire's space station dead center. The station exploded in a massive fireball. Cheers erupted across the Earth fleet. They had won their first battle. But the fight wasn't over. More Empire ships were arriving. The space around the outpost became a massive battlefield. Yuki found herself in a dogfight with 3 enemy fighters. She barrel-rolled her ship, avoiding their shots. Then, with a quick maneuver, she got behind them and took them out one by one. Carlos and his squadron provided cover for the larger ships. They weaved between laser blasts, protecting the dreadnoughts as they fired their big guns. Hours passed. The battle raged on. But slowly, surely, Earth was winning. Finally, the last Empire ship in the area turned and fled. The outpost was destroyed. Earth had secured its first victory in space. On the Avengers Bridge, the crew cheered and hugged each other. General Chen allowed the celebration for a moment, then raised her hand for quiet. "This is just the beginning," she said. "We've shown the Empire what we can do. But they'll be back, and in greater numbers. We need to press our advantage." She turned to her communications officer. "Send a message to Earth. Tell them of our victory. And tell them to prepare the rest of the fleet. We're taking the fight to the Empire's homeworlds." As the message was sent, Yuki looked out her cockpit window at the stars. They didn't seem as far away now. Earth had taken its first steps into a larger galaxy. Carlos gathered his pilots for a debriefing. "Great work, everyone," he said. "But remember, this war is far from over. The Empire now knows we're a threat. They'll hit back hard." On Earth, news of the victory spread quickly. People celebrated in the streets. For the first time since the attack, there was hope. But in quiet rooms, Earth's leaders were already planning the next move. The war had just begun, and the greatest challenges were yet to come. 3 weeks had passed since Earth's first victory. The human fleet had pushed deep into Empire territory, winning battle after battle. But now, things were about to change. On the bridge of the Avenger, General Chen studied a holographic map. Red dots showed Empire ships gathering. There were thousands of them. "They're finally ready to hit back," she said quietly. Suddenly, alarms blared. A young officer shouted, "Massive energy signatures detected. Empire ships coming out of light speed." Outside, space lit up as hundreds of Empire battleships appeared. They were bigger than anything Earth had faced before. General Chen's voice was calm but urgent. "All ships, battle stations. This is not a drill." In her fighter, Yuki felt her heart race. The enemy fleet was huge. "Stay focused," she told herself, remembering her training. Carlos led his squadron into position. "Form up," he ordered. "We've trained for this. Earth is counting on us." The battle began with a massive exchange of fire. Lasers and energy beams crisscrossed space. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers. At first, Earth's advanced shields held strong, but the Empire had learned. Their weapons were stronger now, designed to break through Earth's defenses. "Shield failure on Dreadnought 7. Someone shouted. Yuki watched in horror as an Earth ship exploded. General Chen's face was grim. "We're taking heavy losses. We need a new strategy." On the Empire's flagship, the alien commander laughed. "See how the humans run. They are no match for our full might." But he had underestimated human creativity. General Chen had a plan. "All ships, execute Maneuver Omega," she ordered. It was a tactic they had practiced, but never used in real battle. The Earth fleet split into smaller groups. They began to move in complex patterns, confusing the Empire's targeting systems. Yuki found herself leading a group of fighters through a dangerous dance. They weaved between enemy ships, causing them to fire on each other. Carlos and his team used the chaos to their advantage. They took out key Empire ships, targeting weapons and engines. The tide of battle began to turn. More Empire ships were falling now, but the cost was high. Many Earth ships were damaged or destroyed. In the middle of the fight, Yuki's ship was hit. Alarms blared in her cockpit. "Engine failure," she shouted into her radio. "I'm going down." Carlos heard her call. Without hesitating, he flew to her rescue. Under heavy fire, he managed to tow her ship to safety. "I owe you one," Yuki said, her voice shaky. "Just doing my job," Carlos replied. But both knew how close it had been. Hours passed. The battle raged on. Both sides were taking heavy losses. The space around them was filled with debris from destroyed ships. On the Avenger, General Chen made a difficult decision. "We can't win this fight," she said. "Not today. All ships, prepare for emergency jump to light speed." The order went out. Earth ships began to disengage from the battle. It wasn't a victory, but it wasn't a total defeat either. As the fleet jumped away, the Empire commander growled in frustration. "They escaped, but they can't run forever. We will crush them next time." Back in safe space, the Earth fleet regrouped. Ships were damaged. Many good people had been lost, but they had survived the Empire's big attack. In the medical bay, Yuki visited Carlos. He had been injured saving her. "Thank you," she said, holding his hand. "We'll get them next time." Carlos nodded weakly. "We have to. For Earth. For Tommy." On the bridge, General Chen was already planning their next move. "We've seen what they can do now," she told her officers. "We'll adapt. We'll get stronger. This isn't over." As repair crews worked on the ships, the survivors of the battle rested and remembered their fallen friends. They had faced the Empire's full might and survived. The war was far from over. But Earth had proven one thing: humans would not go down without a fight. The galaxy had never seen anything like them before, and the Empire was beginning to worry. 6 months had passed since the Great Battle. Earth had been busy. New ships were built, new weapons were created, and now it was time for the final push. General Chen stood before a huge crowd of soldiers and pilots. Among them were Yuki and Carlos, now decorated heroes. "Today," General Chen's voice boomed, "we take the fight to the Empire's homeworld. Today we end this war." Cheers erupted from the crowd. They were ready. They were determined. In space, the largest fleet Earth had ever assembled gathered. 10,000 dreadnoughts, along with countless smaller ships, prepared for the jump to light speed. On the bridge of the Avenger, now Earth's flagship, General Chen gave the order. "All ships, jump." In a flash of light, the fleet vanished, racing across the galaxy towards the heart of the Empire. They appeared near the Empire's home system. Ahead of them lay a massive defensive line. Thousands of enemy ships, space stations bristling with weapons. It was a sight to strike fear into any heart. But not humans, not today. "All ships, attack formation," General Chen ordered. "May Earth be with us." The battle began. It was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Laser fire lit up space. Explosions bloomed everywhere. Ships on both sides fell by the hundreds. Yuki led a squadron of fighters, diving between enemy ships. "Watch each other's backs," she shouted over the radio. "We're all coming home today." Carlos commanded a dreadnought, coordinating attacks on key targets. "Focus fire on their command ships," he ordered. "Cut off the head, and the body will fall." The fighting was intense. Earth ships pushed forward, but at a great cost. The Empire fought with the desperation of those defending their home. Hours passed. The battle raged on. Both sides took heavy losses, but slowly, surely, Earth was winning. Then, disaster struck. A lucky shot from an Empire superweapon hit the Avenger. The great ship's shields failed. "We're hit," shouted an officer. "Engine room on fire. We're losing power." General Chen stayed calm. "Evacuate non-essential personnel. We'll hold as long as we can." Yuki heard the news over her radio. Without hesitating, she turned her fighter towards the Avenger. "I'm coming, General," she said. Carlos saw what she was doing. "Cover her," he ordered his ships. "Give her a path." Through a hail of enemy fire, Yuki's fighter raced towards the Avenger. Lasers scorched her ship, but she didn't stop. She reached the Avenger's hangar just as another explosion rocked the ship. Landing hard, she ran towards the bridge. Yuki found General Chen directing the battle, even as smoke filled the room. "General," she shouted, "we have to go." For a moment, Chen looked like she would refuse. Then she nodded. "Very well. Let's not waste your bravery." As they ran to Yuki's fighter, the ship shook again. "We won't make it," someone shouted. But they had forgotten about Carlos. His dreadnought appeared beside the Avenger, providing cover fire. "Get out of there," his voice came over the radio. Yuki's fighter shot out of the hangar, with General Chen aboard. Behind them, the Avenger exploded in a massive fireball. "Thank you, both of you," Chen said quietly. Then her voice hardened. "Now, let's finish this." With renewed determination, the Earth fleet pressed its attack. The loss of the Avenger only made them fight harder. Finally, after what seemed like endless battle, the Empire's defenses cracked. Their remaining ships began to retreat. A cheer went up across the Earth fleet. They had done it. They had won. As the dust of battle settled, General Chen, Yuki, and Carlos stood on the bridge of Carlos's ship. They looked out at the Empire's homeworld. "It's over," Yuki said, hardly believing it. Carlos nodded. "We did it. For Tommy. For Earth." General Chen's face was serious. "The battle is over," she said, "but our real work is just beginning. Now, we have to build peace." As the Earth fleet secured the Empire's surrender, a new chapter in galactic history began. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again. 5 years had passed since the Great Battle. The galaxy was a very different place now. On a beautiful planet that was once the Empire's capital, a grand ceremony was taking place. Beings from 1,000 worlds had gathered. Among them stood Yuki, Carlos, and General Chen, now older and wiser. "Welcome," said a voice, "to the first meeting of the Galactic Council." The speaker was a tall alien with blue skin. Next to him stood the President of Earth. Together, they represented the new balance of power in the galaxy. As the ceremony began, Yuki thought back to how they had reached this point. After the Empire's defeat, Earth had a choice. They could have become the new rulers of the galaxy, but they chose a different path. "We remember Tommy," General Chen had said in a famous speech. "We remember why we fought. Not for power, but for peace. Not for conquest, but for cooperation." And so Earth had worked with the former Empire worlds to create something new. A galactic council where all species had a voice. It wasn't easy. There were disagreements. Some wanted revenge. Others didn't trust the humans. But slowly, surely, they made progress. Now, 5 years later, that hard work was paying off. As Yuki watched, representatives from Earth and the former Empire signed the Galactic Peace Treaty. The crowd cheered. It was a historic moment. Carlos leaned over to Yuki. "Can you believe it?" he whispered. "We did all this because of one little boy from a small town on Earth." Yuki nodded, feeling tears in her eyes. "Tommy would be proud," she said. After the ceremony, there was a big party. Aliens and humans mingled, sharing food and stories. It was a sight no one could have imagined just a few years ago. General Chen found Yuki and Carlos enjoying the party. She asked with a smile. "It's amazing," Yuki said. "But what happens now?" Chen's face grew serious. "Now comes the hard part. We have to make sure this peace lasts." She pointed to the stars visible through a large window. "There's so much out there we don't know. New challenges, new dangers, but new friends too. We'll face it all together." As if to prove her point, a group of young aliens approached them. They looked nervous but excited. "Excuse me," one of them said. "Are you really the heroes who ended the war?" Carlos smiled. "We all ended the war," he said. "Every person who fought for peace is a hero." The young aliens looked amazed. They asked for stories about the war, about Earth, about what it was like to fly in space. As Yuki and Carlos talked with them, they realized something important. These young beings didn't see humans as enemies or conquerors. They saw them as inspirations. Later that night, Yuki stood alone, looking at the stars. She thought about Tommy, about all they had lost and all they had gained. A shooting star streaked across the sky. In that moment, Yuki made a wish. She wished for the peace they had worked so hard for to last forever. She knew it wouldn't be easy. There would always be challenges. But looking around at this gathering of beings from across the galaxy, she felt hope. Humans had come a long way from that small village where Tommy had lived. They had faced their greatest challenge and come out stronger. They had changed the galaxy. But more importantly, they had learned from the galaxy too. They had grown. They had become part of something bigger than themselves. As the party went on around her, Yuki smiled. The future was bright, and whatever it held, they would face it together, not just as humans, but as citizens of a united galaxy. In the end, that was Tommy's real legacy. Not war, but peace. Not division, but unity. A little boy from Earth had changed the course of galactic history. And as the stars shone down on the celebration, it felt like the whole universe was smiling.